Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. Let's get into it. Today, I'm going to cover how an F-15 has been shot down by Iran. Iran also hit an Amazon cloud data center. Also, the Pentagon seems to be covering up far more casualties than they're letting on. We got those stories. The fact that Israel is honestly, it's like they're behaving out of the Nazi playbook, and there's more evidence of that. All kinds of stuff coming up. Trump fired Pam Bondi. All sorts of information coming your way right now. But also, I'm going to spend the second half of the show. I haven't done this or haven't done it in a while, in kind of a reaction video. I'm just trying out the format where I will play. It's going to be an interview between Patrick Bet David and the co-founder of Palantir, not Peter Thiel, but another dude. And I've only like barely skimmed it, so you kind of get my genuine what the fuckingness, just kind of do that for a change. It's a Friday, why not? Eleanor Goldfield's not here. I'm sorry. I know for those of you who signed on just for the Eleanor factor, I apologize, but it's a Friday. Why not do a little reaction time? So that's coming up in the second half of the show, but let's get started with the bigger news. If I can actually put it on the screen here. Iran has shot down an F-15 fighter jet. Oh yeah, initially. But by the way, our mainstream media has just bent over backwards. They must have whole departments in charge of like crafting the wording so it doesn't sound like Iran actually achieved anything or did anything. There was no physical action by Iran. Like in this case, you have the New York Times headline, "One American rescued from fighter jet downed over Iran." We don't know who downed it. It's just downed over Iran. But maybe it was a bird. Maybe you don't know. You don't know. It just happened to be downed over Iran. So that's the New York Times, and that's actually better than some of the other ones, which were saying F-15 crashes in Iran. You know what? He was looking at his phone. He was texting while driving, and he just ran into a blimp or something. He hit a very tall lamppost. He was texting while driving. But yeah, they finally admitted that Iran shot it down. This is the updated New York Times. So now they're saying Iran shot down, not in the headline, of course, but because 90% of people just read the headlines. Like, who's really reading the New York Times? Seriously? Iran shot down a U.S. fighter jet over the country, the first time that has occurred in 5 weeks of war, but a rescue effort succeeded in recovering one of its two crew members from Iranian soil, U.S. and Israeli officials said. The fate of the other one remained unclear. So this means, and I know this is very important to a lot of people, to other people, a U.S. quote unquote service member's life should be viewed the same as all lives. Like, why is a American soldier downed in Iran matter more than the 165 girls that we obliterated? Like, oh, we got to save this one guy, but we can blow up 165 little girls. That's fine. So I think there's an interesting analysis about the value of life here. But for a lot of Americans, it is a big deal. If there is a living, still living American military personnel in Iran right now, that's some big shit for most Americans. The loss of the F-15 fighter jet, and I'm not saying their life is not valuable to me, but I'm saying, why is it not as valuable as every single last fucking child? Anyway, the loss of the F-15 fighter jet, reported by Iranian media and confirmed by U.S. and Israeli officials, and the rescue efforts create major military and diplomatic challenges for the U.S. President Trump has threatened in recent days to bombard Iran, quote, back to the Stone Ages. And this is interesting considering that was in his speech the other night. He's going to bomb them back to the Stone Ages. It's interesting coming from a country which, as we all know, is only in Iran to help the people, right? As everyone knows, the U.S. and Israel are only bombing and attacking and even involved, even talking about Iran because we need to help their people. We want to help the women, the ladies. We want to help the children. We want to help the protesters. As we all know, that is the only reason that the U.S. and Israel are involved in Iran. But in order to do that, let's bomb them so much they're back to the Stone Ages. Let's kill millions of more people. Of course, to help their people, we've got to kill all their people. It makes perfect sense. I mean, those who are arguing that this doesn't make a lot of sense, what? No, clearly to help Iranians, we got to kill all the Iranians. Everyone knows that. So that is a big deal that F-15 has gone down. You also have the fact, and I brought the story to you last Wednesday, that Iran is going after corporate America now because it is rightfully saying that many corporations are involved in the targeted assassination and this of Iranian officials and various aspects of this war. And Iran has now hit an Amazon cloud data center in Bahrain. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched an attack on an Amazon cloud computing center in Bahrain. The attack was first reported at 8:30 a.m., the second of two attacks at the Amazon facility. Reuters previously reported that according to Bahrain's Interior Ministry, civil defense teams were extinguishing a fire at the same Amazon company facility following what authorities described as Iranian attack. The fire wasn't related, of course. Of course it wasn't. It just, the F-35, the F-15 just crashed and the Amazon just caught on fire. And there was a laundry fire on the battleship that we had out there too. These fires just happen all over the place. There's nothing to do with Iran's attacks. No details on casualties or the extent of the damage has been released yet. And this is a connection that many people have not made until now. That U.S. corporations, even ones that are not generally just called weapons contractors, like you have the ones that are kind of just weapons contractors, like General Dynamics. But most people do not sit there going, Amazon, the Pentagon contractor. Amazon, the Pentagon contractor. But in fact, Amazon massively contracts with the Pentagon. Hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, helping our Pentagon to kill people around the world. So many people have not made this connection, but now you have Iran making the connection and saying, guess what's a fair target? Because they're part of this war of aggression, this war on Iran. Absolutely. These corporate entities are very connected to it. They're a part of it. But also you have, and sorry, for the visual, I'm refusing to give away an email address to get into this document at the moment. So it says enter your email address. But this is the Intercept reporting on the casualty cover-up at the Pentagon. Many people kind of guessed that this might be the case, that perhaps far more U.S. military personnel have died or been injured so far, and yet we haven't heard much about it. But now we see an actual reporting on it. Casualty cover-up. The Pentagon is hiding the U.S. losses under Trump in the Middle East. Almost 750 U.S. troops have been wounded or killed in the Middle East since October 2023. And I assume he does not have accurate numbers on how many have been killed versus how many wounded. But all told, 750, according to an analysis by The Intercept. The U.S. CENTCOM, which oversees military operations in the Middle East, appears to be engaged in what a defense official called a casualty cover-up. And also a casual cover-up. It's really both. We're just doing it casually, and it's casualty. At least 15 U.S. troops were wounded Friday in the Iranian attack on a Saudi airbase, according to two government officials. Hundreds of U.S. personnel have been killed or injured. And this is pretty striking considering the numbers they've been giving us, which are very low. They tell us that, it's a few, like a dozen U.S. personnel have been killed. And they said one of them, not one of them, they said like 6 of them or 7 of them, like most of them were due to an accident, like a fueling accident or something. Now, as we know, with every Iranian attack that is successful, it's called an accident. So who knows whether those 6, 7 personnel actually died in an accident or whether it was an Iran attack that we're being told is an accident. I know this is just blow everyone's pants off. I'm going to say something shocking here. I think that this administration and the U.S. government in general, I think they're lying to us like all around, like on all of the things. Like just about everything they say is a lie. Like how well they're doing in Iran, whether they meant to blow up that school of children in Iran, or whether they're striking innocent people in Iran, what their aims were in Iran, how many U.S. personnel have been murdered in this battle so far. All of these things I think are lies. I think every last fucking thing they say is a lie. So it is funny that we like pretend that some of these numbers are accurate. Oh, well, I'm sure they're telling the truth about that. Why? Why would you be sure they're telling the truth about that? There is nothing they're telling the truth about. Zero. Zilch. So we finally have some real reporting on the fact that these numbers are lies. And this is a far more deadly battle to U.S. military personnel than we have been told. Here's Trump, though, saying why, and speaking of deadly, saying why the U.S. government, there's a 30-second clip of Trump saying why the U.S. government can't help more people across America with things like daycare and medical care, etc., which, of course, is deadly to some people, the lacking medical care. And here it is. And, I'm just glad Trump is being, I know I made fun of him for lying just a second ago, but here he is just being straight up with us. Like you can't argue with what he says here.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too.
Look, they don't have the money. All right, they can't handle the daycare, folks. For fuck's sake, what do you think? The U.S. is just swimming in money? What do you think? The U.S. government is just a lot of money? No, zero money. And that's why our military, as I think everyone watching this knows, we only spend $15, $16 a year on it because we don't have the money. I don't know if you've noticed our military people overseas, they don't have boots, okay? We've run out of money for boots. They're just strapping plastic bags on their feet. And that's because we don't have the money. So why are you asking for us to cover daycare?
They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection.
That's it. That's all they have money for. Military protection. Trump is supposedly going to ask for $1.5 trillion for his next military budget. It's already $1 trillion, but he wants to add 50% of that trillion to the already insane number of $1 trillion a year. If you make $60,000 a year after taxes in order to make $1 trillion, it's something like 25 million years. So get started. Also, currently, our Pentagon spends the same amount as 140 countries combined. 140 countries combined. We spend the same as the next 7 or 8 combined as well. But we spend the same as 140 countries. And if it were to go to 1.5 trillion, we would then be spending the same amount of money per year as every country on Earth except China and Russia combined. every country on earth combined, except China and Russia, would be less than what we spend on military if we go to 1.5 trillion. But we don't have money for daycare, okay? We don't have any money for daycare. Why can't you get that through your skulls, you dumb Americans that I don't give a shit about? He doesn't give a shit about you. So, of course he doesn't care about these are psychopaths. I really try to get this through to people. These are psychopaths. They have no concern for you. They have no concern for anyone outside of themselves. And the thing that's good for themselves is for the U.S. empire to dominate every other country, both financially and militarily. And so that enriches them. And that is all they care about. Owning the world. They do not give a shit if you're living in a hut, pooping in a bucket. They don't care. Hegseth is a psychopath. Trump's a psychopath. When they blew up that school of children, there was not a second that they cared. Not a second. And this is who these are. And it really is, like, it's amazing that there's still, 30% of America supports bombing Iran right now. It's amazing that it's still that high. Because you'd think that they could see, oh, they don't care about Iranians. They also don't care about me. They don't care about you. They don't care about any of them. Any of us. Nah. So, like, they are at war with Iran. Yes, they're also at war with all of us. The ruling elite are. And it's like, how could there, like, how dumb and indoctrinated do you have to be to keep supporting this and supporting them as they have a war with you? Yeah, they kill you in different ways. That's the sole difference between being American and being Iranian. They kill you in different ways. They kill you with lack of health care. They kill you with lack of good food and clean air to breathe and clean water. That's how they kill you in a more lackadaisical way. It's a more casual way of murdering us. With Iran, it's more bombs. By the way, his we're going to bomb him back into the Stone Age comment in his speech the other night was, many believe, is him signaling that the U.S. is probably going to commit full scale to this war for another 2-3 weeks. Oil prices are going even higher. They're like well over $100 now a barrel. They've doubled many days, depending on the minute you look at them. They have legit doubled since before this conflict started. But it's not really a conflict, it's an attack. And so they think he's going to keep bombing for 2-3 weeks, but now they're going to go after even more civilian infrastructure. They've already been bombing hospitals and schools, but they're going to amp up the going after civilians. They bombed the largest bridge, I think in Tehran or somewhere else, but one of the largest bridges is in Iran. They bombed that. These are not military targets. They're just designed to crush Iranian society, to just harm Iranians. That's it. It's very similar to Vietnam. Like we can't defeat you in like a military way, so we just want to murder your civilians and make your lives hell. I'm not going to go into the details of this next thing right now, but I do have a free to read Substack column. The U.S. has already lost, and here's the proof. And it goes through the actual aims of the U.S. empire in this attack on Iran and where things stand. And I think it's the 8 points that they hope to achieve, or 7 or something, in this attack on Iran, and they are losing in every regard. And this is free to read over at my Substack. Yes, I'd love for you to support me over at Substack, but you also can read it for free. The U.S. has already lost. Here's the proof. That's reallycamp.substack.com. And while you're there, throw me a beer. It's the cost of beer a month. Cost of 1 beer a month. Not the cost of beer a month. The cost of 1 beer a month. So I hope you will join up over there. The U.S. has already lost. Here's the proof. All right. Let's keep moving, though. Israel, in their ever growing pursuit of just full outright, full frontal being Nazis, they now are saying they're explicitly ruining. So this warning. So this was posted by Ryan Grimm. Israel is explicitly warning Christian and Druze residents in southern Lebanon not to hide Muslim residents among them as their forces advance. This is the definition. It's the definition of ethnic cleansing. The definition. Like, we are coming after everyone of this type. Now, the only reason it's not the definition of genocide yet is because they haven't said whether they're murdering them or not. But if they are seeking out Muslims and then murdering them, then that is absolutely genocide in Lebanon. But at the moment, it's at minimum the dictionary definition of ethnic cleansing. They have said, we are coming through southern Lebanon. We are taking over that land, stealing that land, and we are going to find the Muslims, specifically the Muslims, and imprison them, torture them, what have you. And this is, of course, also what the Nazis did. They went house to house, building to building, looking for Jewish people and looking for those hiding Jewish people. And so Israel is explicitly saying, we are Nazis. And so this is, it is amazing to see them. And I don't know if it's that Israel is now using Mein Kampf as a like construction guide or what it is. But it really is just horrifying. And if I need to reiterate this yet again, I've said it many times, but Israel is not Judaism. Israel does not represent all Jews. There are millions of anti-Zionist Jews. There are millions of Zionist Christians. So don't ever fall into the trap, which both Israel and Zionist Christians want you to fall into, and anti-Semites want you to fall into, which is to think that Israel represents all Jews. It's interesting. It's really nice that Israel can come together with real anti-Semites. I don't mean the people Israel calls anti-Semites, because they call me anti-Semitic despite being Jewish. And because basically if you criticize Israel, they call you anti-Semitic. It's bullshit. But I mean real, actual, real live, you can touch them, living anti-Semites. It's nice to see them and Israel come together on something. And what they've come together on is that Israel speaks for all Jews. And so rather than saying Israel did something, I'm going to say the Jews do this thing. And that's what they do. That's what they want you to do. Israel wants you to do it because they want they want you to think that any criticism of Israel is a criticism of all Jews. So that's useful to them. Anti-Semites, of course, want to do it because they want you to hate all Jews. And so it works. If look what Israel's committing genocide. Well, it's all Jews. So it's useful to anti-Semites as well. But it's nice to see Israel and I mean, again, the real anti-Semites. It's nice to see them come together and just like hold hands in this belief. It really is like, because there's not a lot of things that you think they agree on, but this one very much agree on it. Trump is even losing the NATO allies that have never had any kind of significant gonads enough to stand up to him. Here is Macron. Now, Macron, don't start to think he's not a piece of shit. Total piece of shit. But he is seemingly starting to ever so slightly stand up to Trump.
And I think our objective is not to be the vassals of two hegemonic power. None of this hegemonic power, I would say.
He says it in that cool French way, but he's saying hegemonic. Hegemonic power. I don't know why that was not a French accent at all. I don't know. Seemed funnier, I don't know. Hegemony, but that's what he's saying. So for those of you missing that, he's saying we shouldn't be the vassals of two hegemonic powers.
This hegemonic power, I would say. And we don't want to depend on the dominance, let's say, on China, or we don't want to be too much exposed to the unpredictability of the US.
exposed to the unpredictability
And I think our objective is not to be
of the U.S. And this is the key. This is part. I've said this a bunch, but I've also put in that Substack column is the U.S. is proving so unpredictable and so unhinged and so unstable that these other countries, as much as they may be vassal states to the United States, as much as they may be fawning over the United States, following them, just licking their boots, things have become so unpredictable, unstable, that they can't actually achieve like any kind of ongoing stable world for their people. So you see people like Macron, which has fallen in line behind the United States every step of the way. Keep in mind, France was the leader along with the United States in the invasion of Libya and the crushing of Libya and turning Libya into from one of the most advanced countries in Africa to a fucking fighting warlords. That was France. So France is part of this horror show, but they're getting pushed to a point where they're also not able to fully support the United States. Canada, you see, speaking out against the United States a little bit. The U.S. is losing allies left and right. Now, of course, the bigger thing is actions, saying a few words. How much does that really mean? So you need to wait and see if he does anything, if he acts on it. But I think the words are important because up until this point, they haven't been willing to speak out in this way. They've not had the gonads to do that. Keep in mind, for those of you clever at home, I'm not saying balls because then that's a very, patriarchal, fucking misogynist thing to say. Although I do say it sometimes, but misogynist thing to say. I'm saying gonads because both men and women have gonads. So there you go. You do the balls thing and you fall into the whole like, oh, if you have balls, you're big and tough. And if you're a pussy, well, then that means you're a loser and you're weak. So don't fall into that patriarchal bullshit. But gonads, go to town with gonads. Go to town. Gonad to town. Trump, I'm not gonna spend much time on this because you can go to CNN for 94. I was gonna say 24/7, and then I wanted to up it, so I said 94/7, but that of course doesn't make any sense. 24/7 coverage of Pam Bondi getting fired. Pam Bondi has been let go as the Attorney General, but of course, the reason this doesn't need a lot of commentary is because, like, Trump's just going to find someone as insane, as unhinged to do his bidding. And Pam Bondi, it's not like she was standing up to him. It's going to take her years to watch the taste of Trump's ass out of her mouth. And that is also not a male-female thing. I would have said the same thing if Kash Patel had been fired, and I think he will be fired soon. Who knows? Maybe he's fired as I'm taping this. But I would have said the exact same thing, man or female. I think they're going to spend years washing the taste of Trump's ass out of their mouths. But Pam Bondi, no one is like bent over backwards to try and do everything Trump wants, all of his unhinged shit. And yet still he's like, yeah, but you're not accomplishing my unhinged shit well enough. And so Pam Bondi has been fired as Attorney General. Whoever he puts in there next is going to be equally unhinged. Don't get your hopes up that Trump is going to suddenly see the light and start. He decided to put in someone to defend the environment. Yeah, right. They'll be equally horrible. They just might be better at accomplishing his insanity. That is the only difference you might see from the next one. Also, Trump apparently told an official to ignore the courts. So the Supreme Court, which, one of the few things Trump cares about because it limits his power is the Supreme Court and what they decide. And they have had like one decision that's gone against him. And that decision was about the tariffs, that he can't just crank up the tariffs on any country he wants to 100%, which infuriated him. How dare the Supreme Court check his power in any way? But so he's apparently been telling his officials to just ignore the Supreme Court, which of course is highly illegal, but Trump is highly illegal. An hour into his Thursday cabinet meeting, Donald Trump made a remark that should infuriate every American, they wrote in the New Republic. Referring to Minnesota and California, Trump said, I spoke with Russell Vogt. Russell Vogt is, I've done a segment on this before. Russell Vogt is many call him the shadow president because he is the one that's controlling all the money, the purse strings. He's the one that's deciding that blue states are not getting the funds they need. He's the one deciding that money keeps going to ICE and everything else while it's getting stopped to other things. So it is, that's who Russell Vogt is. Anyway, Trump said, I said to Russell, don't send them any money. But we have a court, and he said, but we have a court order that we have to. And then Trump said, can you believe it that he said that? Justice Roberts doesn't like when I say it, but the judges are really hurting this country. So what he means by send them any money, you got to give a bunch of backstory here, but is that because they collected the billions of dollars, I think tens of billions of dollars in tariffs in his new cranked up tariff war, they were basically told by the Supreme Court that it was illegal and that they had to give a lot of that money back. A lot of that money was paid by U.S. corporations, and they want their money back. And Trump is saying, don't give it back, which is going directly against the Supreme Court. And he admitted, these are Trump remarks. He admitted publicly that he said, just don't give it back, which, of course, highly illegal. But yeah, that's Trump going again, not just going against the Supreme Court, but he is actively telling people to go against decisions made by the Supreme Court, which, again, of course, illegal. And it shows, I mean, that's also the definition of a dictator, right? No one can check my power. There are no checks to my power. I can do whatever I want. Supreme Court doesn't matter. Nothing matters as long as I want to do some shit. All right. Let's see if I can... I don't really have time. Well, let's see if I can squeeze in here. I'm going to play a Joe Kent quote here in a second. Joe Kent is the former assistant head in the U.S. intelligence who has stepped down or quit because of the war on Iran. And it's not, as I say with other people, Joe Kent's a piece of shit on most things, but I'm just playing the quote where he admits, and those of you who've been following my stuff or following any of the good outlets, the important outlets, you've known this, but it's good to see it admitted by high up officials, admits that the U.S. and maybe says in Israel, were working with Al-Qaeda, ISIS in Syria, which had largely not been admitted prior to this. But I'm going to play that quote in a minute. But I also wanted to just start with this on the same topic. This is over at Gray Zone. His Majesty's Head Chopper, it's titled, Syria's M16-backed president bows to King Charles. There was just a meeting between King Charles and Mohammed al-Jalani, who is now the rebranded president of Syria. And most of you know that he was formerly the head of an Al-Qaeda group, and al-Nusra. And these were jihadist groups that were executing innocent people in the streets, chopping their heads off. And of course, we've been told in America that the most vile of all enemies is Al-Qaeda. The most vile of all enemies is ISIS. Until we want to make them president of Syria. Until, just put on a tie. Just take an Al-Qaeda guy and you put a tie on. And then he can be president of Syria. That's all he needs, as long as he's going to do our bidding. And then he's not Al-Qaeda anymore. You just put a necktie on him. And, take off the thingy you wear on the head. Don't wear things on your head anymore and just put on a necktie. Actually, you can just take the thing on your head and tie it around your neck. And then we'll totally let you be president of we'll totally let you be president of Syria. Thank you, Banger Pete, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I do not frown upon super chats. Throw in a couple of bucks if you want to help out. But so here he is, and no longer Al Qaeda. Now he's president of Syria, and we love him, and he's the best because he gives us all their oil, and he lets Israel blow up the entire Syrian military. Like literally, like this month, Israel's still blowing up. Just if they happen to find some old Syrian military stuff, they blow it up. And he's like, yeah, Syria, blow up all our military shit. Just go for it. It's great. But he's not Al Qaeda anymore. President of Syria. Now he's just Al Qaeda. He's just Al Qaeda. By the way, I've told that joke. I wrote that joke and used it on Redacted Tonight like 6 years ago or something, 4 years ago. And love it. Love it. Use it all the time. He's no longer Al Qaeda. I mean, Al Qaeda. Now he's Al Qaeda. Anyway, he met with King Charles. He met with King Charles, and they love him now. And MI6, by the way, was also involved in all of this. So I wanted to show you that story before I played this Joe Kent quote. You probably all saw all the stories about Joe Kent. I mentioned it last week or whatever. But one of Trump's heads of intelligence, and here he is. He's quit. He says the war on Iran is idiotic, and he doesn't support it, so he's quit. And anyway, here he is talking about the Syria war, the war on Syria to bring Assad down.
Israelis at the end of the Iraq.
Sorry, he said the Israelis. It's always tough to play these clips from the beginning because you restart and it doesn't play, and then you got to hit unmute, and you get it. It's bullshit.
War, we're like, no, this is not going to work at all. We have to break this up. We have to go to war in Syria. We have to take down Assad. Arab Spring happened. There was some energy from the people. I think it was somewhat organic. But then in short order, we came in and we said, we're going to work with the Israelis, but we're also going to have to work heavily with the Sunni population on the ground in Syria to create an uprising. And that's where ISIS came from. We worked directly with Al-Qaeda. Hillary Clinton's emails confirm this. The operations that we were doing to support the so-called Free Syrian Army, and there were some moderates there, but the most effective guys initially were Al-Qaeda and then eventually ISIS. Now, obviously, ISIS got out of control, and they started plotting attacks in Europe. They started plotting attacks in America.
Don't you hate when your terrorist group that you're funding and you're arming and you're letting them murder each other and you're letting them murder innocent people on the streets, whoever they want, and ethnically cleanse whoever they want? Don't you hate when they then like turn some of it on you? Like, it's just so shitty of them. After all we did for them, we helped you, we armed you, we sent you out, we said kill whoever you like as long as it's in that region, and they largely aren't white folks. Just go, have at it, have fun. And then they start turning some of it against us, and we're like, what happened? You were just killing all of the people we wanted you to kill. Which, of course, is also Osama bin Laden. We big fans of him, funded him, Mujahideen.
Okay. They took over large swaths of Iraq. So we then had to go back and put out once again the brush fire that we had started and go after ISIS. That's where I lost my late wife. But Israel was the driving factor in that. We took down Saddam, who was a strong man against Israel. We then had to go in and take out Assad, who was a strong man against Israel as well. And now this is the third phase. We're going now into Iran to take out that strong government for Israel.
And this is called a limited hangout, folks. I think most of you know that term. It's where CIA or whoever, intelligence, they give you part of the story. And then they carefully don't give you the last part of the story, the linchpin of the story. In this case, and, you know, there can be limited hangouts of other brands that aren't necessarily pinning it on Israel the way he is. Israel was and is absolutely a factor in all these things. Israel has immense power over a lot of people in Congress, etc. However, you notice he will never say the word petrodollar, which is at the heart of all of this. I am fine with people saying it's both. You know, it's the U.S. wants to protect the petrodollar. The U.S. is taking out every state that has large oil reserves and can pump them outside of the dollar, or wanted to pump them outside of the dollar, or threatened to pump them outside of the dollar. Libya, Iraq, Iran, Syria. And in fact, what were the first things we did when we actually put boots on the ground in Syria? We took their oil fields. We took the third of the country, which were the main oil fields. So it's not really that hard to figure out if you look at these things, but this is called a limited hangout. He doesn't say the word petrodollar. It's just Israel that did it. But anyway, the real reason I want to play that clip is just to show that he's saying that the U.S., yes, was allied, working with, funding, arming ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, all of them, because they were useful to us, and they continue to be useful to us. And now we made one president of Syria, so why not? Okay, I'm running out of time, so I got to keep moving. I wanted to do kind of a reaction video where I play longer clips. I somewhat know what these two morons are going to say because because it's really long, I had to find some areas of it that I wanted somewhat to talk about, because otherwise you can get bogged down in some really boring shit. Like when he's asking this co-founder of Palantir what he was like as a kid, or what, like, I don't need to waste your time on that. But I did not go through and watch every second. So a lot of this is just me genuinely reacting to this interview between the two. Before I show that, please go join up. If you believe you've gotten 37 cents, 38 cents, if you feel like 37, 38, anywhere in there, feel like you got 37, 38 cents out of this live stream, I hope you'll join up at reallycamp.substack.com or patreon.com/LeeCamp is another place to join up. But reallycamp.substack.com is where I post, and Patreon as well, but where I post new columns. I put up 2 or 3 this week alone, free to read columns. We're ranked like, actually, I think 37. So I don't know why that number is coming up the most, but we're ranked like 37 in world politics right now on Substack. So even if you hate me, it's probably worth following. Like, it's probably a good idea. But great thing to send to friends who you want to actually learn this shit, or enemies who you want to piss off and make them really angry. So reallycamp.substack.com. If you haven't subscribed for free, then what are you waiting for? And if you haven't subscribed for $8 a month, then it'd be amazing if you could. Wow, Lady Alex, been following me since the Huffington Post days. That is going back a ways. I don't know when the last time someone mentioned my Huffington Post days. I used to write comedy for Huffington Post. It was around the same time as my Onion days. I wrote for the Onion and I wrote for Huffington Post. Huffington Post had a humor site that was part of Huffington Post, and they would put the humor articles that I wrote on the front page of Huffington Post. And it had to be 2008, 2009, maybe. A long time ago. So thank you, Lady Alex, for sticking through. The other reason it's amazing to find people who followed me for this long is not because they get bored or start disliking it or whatever, but we live in such a crazy media world that like so much is being thrown at you that a lot of people wait to see what shows up in their inbox. What did they get notifications for? And I have been so suppressed and so censored with multiple channels deleted, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, that even people who are fans don't see notifications. So thank you, Alex, for supporting the show. Really amazing. Okay, let me start playing clips. This is Patrick Bet-David, who is like a Trump lover. He got his initial money from a real estate pyramid scheme, I believe. I haven't looked into the dollar by dollar details, but others have called it a pyramid scheme. And then he started doing YouTube stuff, and because he doesn't say anything that's actually real, he can get millions of subscribers and not be deleted or censored or suppressed. So anyway, here he is talking to one of the co-founders of Palantir, not Peter Thiel, and because at the moment I can't look at Peter Thiel's face, so I can't play that. But he's talking to Joe Lonsdale, the other co-founder of Palantir, one of the most horrific weapons contractors company for the U.S. And we're just gonna
in the crew. Jay, who picked this blue mic?
We're just gonna watch some things, and like I said, it's kind of a reaction video, so I haven't like picked out the important parts really. So,
by the way, you did okay. So credit goes to him, but co-founder of Palantir.
We started that 23 years ago.
Yes, the story you have from co-founding Palantir to then, I think you were an investor in Free Press with Barry Weiss, if I'm not mistaken. You were somewhat
Built
involved.
Two companies.
Yes.
I give
investor in Free Press with Barry Weiss. For those of you who don't know, Barry Weiss, total pro-genocide, loves, defends the genocide every chance she gets. One of the biggest pro-genocide news speakers in America. Genocide in Gaza, loves it, and now runs CBS News because Larry Ellison bought CBS News to shut up any criticism of Israel. He put in Barry Weiss. He bought out the thing they're talking about, Free Press. He bought out Free Press, which is just a glorified Substack. Larry Ellison bought it out for $250 million. Bought out her Substack for $250 million or $200 million or something like that. And this guy apparently helped make it happen. So I'm sure he's a good dude. Can't be a good dude if you haven't funded some pro-genocide shit.
Barry some money when she started because, we need to rebuild our institutions in this country. It
That's
doesn't make
right.
it better.
And
We need to rebuild our institutions. That means pro-genocide media. Horrific. Fucking horrific.
moved to Austin. You're building a University Austin. You're doing another thing with Cicero.
I'm sure the university he's building is going to be just absolutely, totally legit. Just real news coming out of the Palantir University.
Which we'll talk about. I want to get your
Super.
opinion on Cicero and Cato because those are two different mindset. And then
different statesmen.
Yes, two different statesmen. One had a temper, his way or the highway. The other one was compromise, open to, which is kind of the route you guys went. And then recently you put, I think some $11.8 million into a drone company in Nigeria.
Well, that's random. I run a big venture capital firm.
Yes.
We're doing a lot.
I run a venture capital firm and I just dump money into things where I think I'll make more money. So at the end of the day, I mean, what you're looking at is a psychopath, zero empathy for other humans, but he just wants to keep finding where he can get money. So selling drones or giving millions of dollars to a drone company in Nigeria so that they can murder people, it's all fine. Doesn't matter. I mean, there was a time in the U.S., in America's history, where war profiteering was somewhat illegal, was largely illegal. Now, it doesn't mean the U.S. wasn't committing horrific crimes. So we would just do it through the military. So you weren't, when the U.S. military was genociding people, like in the Philippines or wherever, or Haiti or something, they weren't making a profit from it, except just facilitating the growth of the United States. Whereas nowadays, you can just be a civilian and just go and make billions of dollars just profiting off of war, profiting off of murder.
A lot in AI
That's the
defense.
HPC.
Yeah, AVC. It's called AVC. And listen, most of the best defense stuff, we focus on America, of course.
And of course, the guy has to look like American Psycho, the movie. Is that like some sort of requirement? Do they go watch that movie to try and figure out how to like style themselves?
I do think in Africa, working with the very, very best group that we could find there, it's important because there's a lot of bad guys there too.
Yeah, I agree. So that's interesting. So we'll get it.
There's a lot of bad guys there too. I really like these people. These lunatics try and act like that they care about making a better world. They try and phrase it like that, couch it in that. They're working for your freedoms and for democracy or things like that. These words, but they also use just this juvenile view of the world. Like we're getting the bad guys over there, like they're 6 or something. They're little toddlers' view of what is happening around the world. Yeah, the U.S. is just going to get the bad guys as we blow up a school filled with children. The U.S. is just going to get the bad guys as we kill 100,000 innocent people in Gaza. We're just getting the bad guys. And it is interesting like this. We're gonna pretend that we have an understanding of geopolitics enough to do these things we want to do, which is to help humanity and to make the world better and to do all these things. But they also at the same time have, I guess, or maybe want to pretend to have like a toddler's view of reality. Well, there's bad guys over there, and we got the bad guys because they were being baddies.
Into that, 'cause I'm curious, the drone business is very important. We're seeing with these wars with Ukraine and Russia. If you would ask the average person 5 years ago, if Ukraine and Russia go to war, what would be the most important tool to use? Nobody would guess drones. And millions.
A bunch of things here, and this is coming from Patrick Bet David, PBD, as people call him. Who's he's a pro-Trump right-wing asshole in all regards. But you'll notice he uses this like soft language so as, I don't know, to convince some people that he's maybe not, like he's somewhere in the middle or whatever. Like the what's going on over there, I think was the expression he used for Iran. As we massacre people in Iran in a war of aggression that we created, that we started in order to protect and grow the petrodollar, even though it's backfired. As we do that, to him, it's that stuff going on over there, that thing that happened over there. And then he talks about U.S. Ukraine, and of course calls it Ukraine Russia, and of course calls it Ukraine Russia war, when in fact it's a proxy war, and anybody with half a brain cell knows it's a proxy war. But that's propaganda in and of itself, to call it just, it's just a Russia Ukraine war, and leave out context. But then he says, and then you have this thing with the drones, again with the like mushy, vague language so as to look like he's not giving an opinion. But in fact, by doing that, you're giving an opinion. You're giving an opinion that you either don't know or don't care that it's a proxy war where we've helped kill hundreds of thousands of people. So by doing this like mushy, I don't have an opinion language, you're giving an opinion. Your opinion is, I don't give a fuck about what the U.S. has done to murder these people. When both of you guys, both these two psychos are in America, American citizens, I believe. So shouldn't they care about that? No, it's just that stuff going on over there.
Millions of drones and blowing up all these other things, but
blowing up all these other things. There's just a bunch of things that have happened.
Okay, got a lot of questions. And the timing of this interview is phenomenal because we got the Iran stuff going on. We got El Mencho that was just...
There you go. More Iran stuff. It's just stuff. What is it? I don't know. Stuff. As the U.S. blows up bridges, as the U.S. blows up hospitals. They've hit like 100 hospitals. I don't really know the numbers. Dozens of hospitals. I think it was over 100. They've schools. Stuff. You got the Iran stuff.
Is killed, and with what's going on with Mexico, we have
what's going on with Mexico. Of course, a lot of what's going on with Mexico is our propaganda. It's, yes, there is a war against the drug cartels in Mexico. They're using our weapons. First of all, most weapons that the cartels have are U.S. weapons, U.S.-made weapons. But secondly, and most of the product is being shipped to the United States, so we're the consumers too. So you wouldn't have the drug war in Mexico if you didn't have U.S. arming and funding it. But beyond that, a lot of the, oh my God, the violence in Mexico has just multiplied by 100%. From everything I can understand, it's amped up slightly, like it's ticked up a little in certain areas, but the vast majority of Mexico is the same as it was a year ago. Like, it's not like all of a sudden everybody walks out their house and they're murdered. But it's useful to the U.S. right now, who's hating on Mexico, although Trump hates any country that's not the U.S. It's useful for us to say, Mexico's so dangerous. It's going to kill all of you. So it's propaganda.
So I wouldn't want to be in Puerto Vallarta right now.
No, and we it's a place where we used to go to a lot because for vacation spot.
At least he pinpointed an area as opposed to just saying, Mexico stuff.
Americans go to Cancun, they go to Puerto
Hit the
Vallarta.
Costco, man.
They hit out of all the places.
I know the airport too. It's scary.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, right? That people got killed at this Costco. It's so funny. Now, here's the thing. I'm a comedian, and I talk about some dark shit. But it's different when you're punching up versus punching down. It's different when you're a fucking billionaire who co-founded Palantir, a weapons contract software company that's spying on all of us. Like, that's a different kind of laughter. That's a disgusting, dark kind of laughter. Rather than the comedy I do, which is always punching up, at least trying to, and it is not being said by the billionaire who co-founded Palantir.
But I want to start off with your background. Palantir, when you say Palantir to the average person, some is good, some is bad, some is neutral, some are scared.
You know, it's good if they know who you are. That one of my favorite signs on the.
That's how you ask a question that everyone wants the answer to. Is Palantir not evil? But you don't have the courage to say it. Or PBD wants to be wants to be every billionaire's best friend. He's just a ladder climber, standard grifter, which is like, where are the clicks? Oh, the clicks are there. I shall go to there. I shall go to their clicks. That is simply what he is. So he doesn't want to alienate the co-founder of Palantir. He wants this guy to cut him a check. So, but he still feels the need to ask the question, like, some people don't like Palantir. So the way he did it is, the way you do that is you act like you're asking all the questions. Palantir, some people love it. Some people don't like it so much. Some people are neutral about it. What's going on there? You ask the question without actually asking the question. Anyway.
The old defense secretary Rumsfeld, he had a sign on his desk and it said, if nobody is angry at you, you might not be doing much.
Do you
I love how he's getting his quotes to live by from another psychopath that murdered millions. Rumsfeld oversaw the murdering of millions. Go look at Brown University cost of war. Global war on terror. 4.5 to 6 million people murdered in just that. Just that. Rumsfeld oversaw the murdering of millions. And this guy's, living his life by what that psychopath said. But besides, even if he'd been quoting, I was about to say Gandhi, but actually we just did a government secrets episode about how shitty Gandhi was. So if you want to listen to that, check out my podcast, my other podcast, Government Secrets. It's only that was 2 episodes ago. But even if he'd been quoting, I don't know, Martin Luther King or something, if people aren't, whatever the quote is, if people aren't hating on you or criticizing you, then you aren't doing something right, or however it's phrased, doesn't matter. Even if he'd been quoting someone noble, yeah, but that also goes for fucking every horrific person that's ever lived. Like Jeffrey Dahmer had a lot of people criticizing him, didn't he? The fucking Las Vegas shooter, he got a lot of criticism after that, didn't he? So that quote means nothing. Nothing. If people aren't hating on you, then you aren't doing anything right.
You subscribe to that?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Totally.
What age did you subscribe to that?
Pretty young, actually. I was a pretty obnoxious kid. So.
Were you?
Oh, yeah. I had all sorts of opinions. I always have. Yeah.
Tell me about your parents.
I love how obnoxious to him is just means opinions. No, obnoxious people are not those that have opinions. Obnoxious people are those who have shit opinions. Those who have opinions like that they should be a billionaire, lord over others, co-found one of the most horrific weapons contracting companies that there is, that got its seed money from the CIA. That's the type of people that other people find shitty. All right, I'm gonna skip. Skip to 12. I don't want to run out of time. It is these type of things take. I should really. All right, I'm gonna skip way ahead because Like reaction videos take like a long time to cover any ground if you're criticizing anyone of that's saying things that matter at all, like saying shitty things. Because you've got to like tear apart every second word. Anyway, let's skip ahead.
You know, first of all, when you're really successful, people attack you. That's always going to happen. And second of all, this is unusual area. You have a company that is.
By the way, a lot of people don't talk about how success is rated in the United States or in capitalism, right? When he says successful, he means being a billionaire. That's successful, right? We don't use the word success usually, or not enough, for people that just like really help their community or really were caring and giving. Just the fucking best human beings. Or even if you just did amazing art, some people there are some people are good at this and they'll say, yeah, she's really successful and making amazing art. She made a lot of money. No, she didn't make money off it. She just is really successful at there's a lot of success in making amazing art or doing something well. Like the way we define success is part of the manipulation. Oh, success is just getting billions of dollars, which if you get billions of dollars, you're a psychopath. Because in order to do that, you had to do generally horrific things. There are like 0.1% of billionaires that like stumbled across an invention or some shit that made them $1 billion. And they're maybe not awful people, but it is so tiny. It is so tiny. So generally speaking, if you have $1 billion, you're a psychopath.
It's helping the government, eliminate bad guys. It's helping the government.
That's what Palantir does. It helps the government eliminate bad guys. Well, which government? You mean the U.S. government that has killed 44 million people over the past 5-6 decades? By the way, where's that number come from, Lee? The 6 million is from the global war on terror. The UN put out an estimate on how many people sanctions, economic war has killed since 1970, and the number is 38 million. Almost the entirety of those sanctions are by the U.S. or led by the U.S. And so you got 44 million people. So he's helping the mass murdering terrorist country of the United States get the bad guys. Well, when you are a mass murderer and you point to others and go, those are the bad guys, generally speaking, you're pointing at not the bad. Like if you're the bad guys and you're pointing at others and saying, those are the bad guys.
Do things he wants to do more effectively, more efficiently. And some of the things government's doing right now, people are not happy with. And so I think it's an interesting question.
Some of the things the government, oh yeah, are there? Are there some things the U.S. government's doing now that people aren't happy? What would that be? And why would people not be happy? Would it be genociding? Would it be blowing up schools full of children? Would those type of things? Would that be dropping the equivalent of 6-7 Hiroshima bombs on a tiny population in Gaza? Would those be the type of things that you're helping them do better? Palantir, by the way, is facilitating the genocide in Gaza. They are helping the bombing of Iran right now. They are helping with ICE to just beat and black bag innocent people. That's what Palantir does.
Like, should a tech company stop helping the government when it disagrees with it? And I think Alex Karp's spoken really well on this. And I know, listen, Alex Karp comes from, he had an African-American mother. He had a kind of Jewish professorial father. He comes from the left, obviously. Peter Thiel
comes from the left. There is nothing about Alex Karp that is left wing. And by the way, he's the CEO of Palantir. I have a 10-second clip of Alex Karp. Alex Karp, total psychopath, but also just whacked out of his mind on something. Here's a 13-second clip. Doesn't really matter what he's talking about, but just tell me this guy isn't whacked out of his mind.
Like, I made a lot of decisions when we began talking annoying each other 10 years ago. Hopefully I'm annoying you as much as 10 years ago, or more. When I made this, like I made a lot of.
So for those of you listening to the podcast, it might have sounded normal, but he's jumping up and down in his chair, can't sit still, can't speak a full sentence. Anyway, Alex Karp is an absolute lunatic. If you've ever seen more extensive clips with him or read quotes from him, and so this guy's quoting him like he's what a wonderful dude.
Obviously, he's more on the right, and so we come from different political sides here. But
Peter Thiel, also a lunatic. I've done clips tearing him apart. Holy shit!
They both agree that it's better for the world to make American government and America more efficient and work better and not throw sand in the gears, not break things. And so the question is, like, should Silicon Valley get to decide policy or should the government get to decide policy? And our view is we want to watch the watchers, but the government should get to decide policy. Our republic has a mechanism for deciding it, and we should follow that mechanism versus being in charge ourselves.
So he also, through a couple other clips I saw from this interview, he keeps saying something like we're working to defend American civil liberties. But there's nothing about Palantir that's civil liberties at all. They're not protecting Americans' data, Americans' info. They're using Americans' data to, select who they want to hate and catch and imprison and pre-crime and all this shit. Absolute dystopian garbage. And yet throughout this interview, he's like, oh, we're trying to protect the civil liberties of Americans. Bullshit. Furthermore, this idea that Palantir is just, look, we just want to let America do whatever the government does. If there were a genuine left wing or even left-ish president, like if Bernie Sanders had gotten it, I guarantee you Palantir would not be like dying to facilitate Bernie Sanders' agenda. The reason they love facilitating the agenda right now is because it's a far right-wing agenda. That is what Palantir is all about. Something else I should mention, because I'm sure if we were to have time to play more of this interview, he'll talk about how successful Palantir is, how amazing it's doing. Palantir is estimated to be one of the most overvalued companies in the world, perhaps the most overvalued company in the world. And the reason is because they're basically defended by the U.S. government. The U.S. government uses their software to commit their crimes, and so therefore they're valuable to the U.S. government, but they're not actually making much money. They're like more overvalued than Tesla or something. Like, you can go read articles about it. I highlighted some of the articles when I talked about Palantir a while back. I don't remember all the details. I do remember it's something like the rate of income or profit, maybe income by a company to the amount of stock price is like a high number. Is the high ratio is like 20-1 or something. Like a really good company would be like 12-1. And Palantir is like in the hundreds or 200-1 or something, because they don't actually make much money compared to what their stock price is, their share price, because everyone's just betting that because Palantir's in bed with the government, Peter Thiel created J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel funded Donald Trump, because they're in bed with the government, they have all these government contracts. People are just betting with the stock price that the stock will go up because, well, they have the government doing, sending them money, cutting them checks. All right, I'll do a few more minutes and then we'll wrap up. Let's see here. Let's try. There was some stuff over here.
Push it.
How do you address that?
How do we address it? I mean, man, this is a very, very tough issue.
I'm gonna
go
have
back.
you ever seen the Jewish story and the division being this high temperature-wise in your lifetime?
In our lifetimes, this is the highest it's been. And it's not just China. Partly what's happening here is this is the first war that Israel's been involved in our lifetime with social media. And if you go on social media, just the ratio of people who are passionate against Israel versus for Israel is 100 to 1, probably, just based on the number of Muslims in the world. There's a lot of good Muslims in the world. There's going to be a lot of extreme ones who are really passionate.
So he's doing two things here. One is through this conversation, they conflate Israel with Judaism, right? Israel, and if you're Jewish, then you're pro-Israel. If you're not Jewish, if you're anti-Israel, then you must be an anti-Semite. So anything Israel does is speaks for all Jews. So they're doing that garbage, which is just crazy propaganda. But beyond that, he pretends that anyone who doesn't like genocide is a Muslim. anyone who wants to stop genocide, anyone who doesn't like bombing children and beheading children. By the way, we only use the expression beheading children when we talk about like Al-Qaeda or something, or some of that shit, or the actual lies that were put forward about October 7th. But when you blow up a child, it's also beheading children. So maybe we should just say Israel beheads a lot of children. I think we should maybe, because they seem to love that terminology. So we'll just go with the terminology Israel likes. Israel beheads tens of thousands of children. But this lunatic, this co-founder of Palantir, wants you to believe that anyone who doesn't like genocide is a Muslim.
About this issue doesn't mean they're not good people. They can disagree with me. And so that itself is going to create a lot of passion against Israel and Jews, right? And so that already exists, and then you can exploit that to push it.
How do you address that?
How do we address it? I mean, man, this is a very, very tough issue.
You're the brains. How do you address that? How do you fix something like that? Because it doesn't seem like it's the temperature's getting any lower.
Well,
how do you get people? Really, what he's asking, and a lot of people don't realize it, is how do you get people on board with genocide, right? Because he's saying, like, how do you get people to stop criticizing Israel? Not how do you stop them from committing genocide, because that's fine. PBD is fine with the genocide. Lonsdale is fine with the genocide. They love it, here for it. So don't stop the genocide, but how do you get people to stop disliking the genocide? That's what he's asking.
I would like there to be peace in the Middle East, and I think for me, the only way to have peace in the Middle East is to free the Iranian people and no longer have sponsors of terror around the Middle East. And I think
there you go. More of the bullshit U.S. propaganda. I don't know if I really need to break that apart for you. The Iranian people are the sponsors of terror. Oh, really? The 90 million Iranian people, they're all sponsoring terror? The U.S. is the largest terror state in the world. We've killed 44 million people since 1970. We've killed over 6 million innocent people since 2001. So why is that? So by getting rid of Iran and letting U.S. do whatever it wants, you stop terror, or do you just facilitate terror?
that leads to a very positive outcome, and hopefully Israel and Saudi and UAE can all sponsor and create peace in Gaza together once the theocrats are gone, and hopefully that's a much more positive outcome. As long as they
once the theocrats are gone, really, Saudi. This guy, I think, along with being a psychopath, I think he also doesn't have any understanding of the Middle East, like, because some people are good at their Middle East bullshit. Good at arguing on the side of genocide. This guy, I think, thinks Saudi Arabia doesn't have a theocracy. Because he said, get rid of the theocrats. No, that's Saudi Arabia. That's UAE. That's all these countries, Qatar. That's all these U.S. allies. Also, Israel is an ethno-state. It might, I guess, maybe you wouldn't call it a theocrat because it's not a monarchy, but it's also not a democracy. You can't have an apartheid state and call it democracy. If you have millions of people within the borders you're claiming and they're not allowed to vote, that ain't democracy. That's apartheid. So, but Israel is an ethno-state. Anyway, he's not even good at his like garbage propaganda. Not even good. Okay, last clip.
The theocrats are there, which is going to be a recurrent issue for us. So I really hope we take them out. I'll be honest about that.
You really hope we take them out?
I think they're evil people who've spread murder and terror, and more terror to their own people than anyone else.
I
But also
lived there
to
11
everyone
years.
else.
It's
More terror to their own people. That's why we need to take them out. Well, we've already killed Ayatollah Khomeini. So how many do you want to take out? How many people do you want to assassinate? How many people do you want to murder? How many little girls in schools do you want to kill? Take them out because they're evil, evil people. This is the co-founder of Palantir saying that others are the evil, evil people. Oh my God. So what a horror show. And this is, let's also remember that, PBD, Patrick Bet David, is one of the largest, I guess, shows that talks politics on YouTube. I don't know what percentage they're in. It's not like they're the size of the Joe Rogan show or something, but massive. And this is the type of horse manure, like psychopathic garbage that YouTube loves platforming and is all about it. Give them millions of views, absolutely. And by the way, when you get a certain size, you have a representative at YouTube that you can call on the phone any day and say, hey, what are the algorithms saying? How can I do better? Hey, this video didn't do that well. Can you look into it and tell? I've talked to people who have those representatives at YouTube. So that means you have this type of psychopathic garbage. YouTube helps them to do better, helps to open up their algorithms so that they can get millions of followers. Meanwhile, if you are against murder, if you're against starvation, if you're against genocide, if you're against ethnic cleansing, then you're like me. You get 12, they'll notify 12 of your fans that you went live on YouTube. So anyway, that was not a woe is me comment. That was just it's important to understand what YouTube's doing with this. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up there. I'll be live again Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We took 2 weeks off on Redacted tonight, but I'll be back next week. And if you feel like you got just 37 cents out of this show, please go join up at realleecamp.substack.com or patreon.com/leecamp. Or if you want to be part of the community, that's at leecamp.net. That will, you can post your own stuff there. You can chat with people there. So that is another place you can do it. But people seem to be liking the Substack. So realleecamp.substack.com. I have new articles every week. Lots of stuff for you there. And if you become a paying member, I will send you my ebook. Might take me a day or two, but my latest book from a couple years ago is Dangerous, also called Dangerous Ideas. And you can get that for free when you join up as a member. All right. Thank you, guys. See you Monday. Keep fighting.